guys, I'm Chronically Jenny and welcome to my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome survival kit video. You guys loved my one on EDS, so I thought I should make one for POTS too, with all my tips, tricks and hacks of how to live a little bit better while you're living with POTS. A lot of these tips are quite POTS specific and are also POTS specific to people with lower blood pressure and POTS. But if you need help with trying to keep cool or keep your blood pressure up, you'll find a lot of these tips helpful no matter what your diagnosis is. This video is kindly sponsored by Vitassium, who have created a reliable sodium source that is easy on the stomach in the form of these buffered electrolyte salt capsules. What I love most about these is that they've been specifically formulated for people with POTS, different forms of dysautonomia and conditions like cystic fibrosis, where increased plasma volume has been shown to be beneficial. Vitassium has been shown to maintain electrolyte levels, to support healthy blood pressure in these groups, and to reduce symptoms such as dizziness and fatigue related to low blood pressure. Please do speak to a doctor or other medical professional before increasing your salt or trying Vitassium, because it's not suitable for everyone and is intended to be used under doctor's supervision. I'm really excited to tell you that the Vitassium Club has finally come to the UK. It's free to join by clicking the link in the description and you can get loads of perks. Simply for joining, you get a 20% off code, you get free delivery, and you get access to new products, special offers, and new medical literature. Vitassium Club is also up and running in the USA, Canada and Australia, and you can also click the link to join from any of those countries. You just get slightly different perks depending on what country you're in. Joining is super easy. It's just a really short form, and if you could mention my name when it asks you where you heard about the Vitassium Club, I would be really grateful. So join for free today to make sure you can get all of your perks. Thank you so much to Vitassium for sponsoring that section of the video, and I'll be talking much more about these salt capsules a little bit later on and my experiences with them. But without further ado, let's get into my POTS survival kit. The first category of things I'm going to talk about today to help with POTS is my cooling hacks. I know lots of people with POTS and dysautonomia struggle to maintain their temperature and find overheating can be a really big problem and really increase their symptoms. So to try and reduce that, I've got lots of different products that can help keep you cool. I've chosen to do this category first because they're all melting slightly on my floor. The first one I'm going to show you is the Relief Pack. This is a large one and I have to say, it's quite heavy, so I'm not going to hold it up for too long. But it is designed to be weighted mainly to help with migraines. With my EDS, I struggle with it as my joints just can't really take that much weight. But I do love kind of using it like a hot water bottle or a pillow. So when I get really warm, I find that I can put it on the sofa or my bed and lie on it, and it just gives me this beautiful cooling relief that I really need. Or just keep it in bed with me and cuddle it. And because it's made of like, it doesn't get wet, basically. It's not made with any kind of ice. It's just kind of like little beads. I'm not exactly sure what they're made of, but they just keep really cool for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just give you that nice bit of relief. Can I cuddle it for the rest of the video? My next one is a hack that I was surprised not many people really thought about when I shared it on Instagram a little while ago. But this is my UU bottle. It's just the inside of a UU bottle. I do have a separate naked one, I like to call it, for this very reason. They are now making covers specifically for using one for cold rather than for heat. Obviously you can use it as a regular water bottle by filling it up with hot water, but they recommend having a separate one for hot and for cold just because of what it's made out of. But I fill this up maybe about halfway, fold it in half, pop it in the freezer, and it's a really nice long cooling situation. The only problem with this is there is some condensation, so you do get a little bit wet. Not as wet as having kind of like a flannel on you, but wetter than the relief pack that I just showed you. This is a new one for me. It's an ice roller. So as you can see, it just kind of rolls along. You put the green bit in the freezer. To be honest, I chucked the whole thing in the freezer. And you can get it out and just get some nice cooling wherever you need it. So it's really, really direct. It's really handy and small. It does have a little bit of condensation, unlike some of the other products, but not so I'm feeling like soaked, but I feel a bit damp where I've just rolled it. But it's really, really handy. Apparently it's great for skincare as well. I think that's what it's originally designed for your face. So multiple benefits of this little ice roller. If you know me, you'll know that this is really one of my hero products. It's the Koldtec Halo. And basically it's got, it's been out on the floor for a while, so it's a little bit defrosted. But it's got little like packs of specially engineered ice, which means you don't get any condensation like you would with ice packs or with like cold flannels on your head. And I think one of the best things about this is that it hits an area that is often forgotten, which is the back of your neck. And I find it really helpful for headaches, migraines, general pain, and also just cooling down. They call it an escape pod for your head, and that's what it really, really feels like. As soon as you wrap it around, I don't want to say that part of your head feels like separate, but it feels like it's in a different zone of relief. It's really easy to put on. It's better to have your hair up. So you just pop some Velcro, it's on, it's nice and comfy and cooling. And there you can see round the back. As I said, it's probably not the best with my hair down, but it's still really, really helpful. It's fine if you wear glasses or anything like that as well. If you want to and you struggle with light sensitivity, you can pull it down over your eyes and have it more directly on your forehead and keep you dark and cold at the same time. Now I don't want to take it off, but I've got lots more to show you. One of my favourite cooling hacks is my wearable fans. You just pop them around your neck and switch them on, and they just are like your own little personal fans, basically. They're not charged at the moment because I've been using them too much. But if you look here, there's a quick clip of me using them. These ones also light up for no reason whatsoever. It's a bit of fun. I've never used it. But they can be really, really helpful in just keeping you cool on really, really hot days. And because they're wearable, they're completely hands-free. You can take them anywhere, and they're super, super easy. And the ones for this year, these are last year's model, are even better because the fans detach separately, so you can use them in loads of different ways. As well as wearing them, you can also stand this up on a desk or a bedside table and just have personal fanage. They're battery powered, so they're chargeable. They're just really super easy. Highly recommend. Definitely one of my hero products. The last thing in the cooling section I'll mention very, very quickly because it's brand new and I haven't had much of a chance to try it yet, but you'll be seeing loads of content about it over on my Instagram and my TikTok and my blog and everything over the next couple of months. But this is the Ember Wave. As you can see, it's just a little wristband, a stylish looking wristband at that sits on your wrist. And basically it sends like cooling waves every so often. I've had it on for the whole of this video. You can see the little blue light there maybe. But it also has a heat mode as well, which I'm yet to try because it's way too hot. But it just makes you feel a little bit cooler by having something really, really cooling on your wrist. So I'm excited to share more about that and let you know how I find it soon. I'm gonna call this section food and drink. I don't think it's really food and drink, but I can't think of what else to call it. If you have POTS with low blood pressure, probably one of the first things you are told to do is increase your hydration and also increase your salt intake. Water tends to be around the 3 litre mark. I tend to have probably a bit more than that because it does help me feel so much better. And when I feel thirsty, I feel really thirsty and will down a glass like this in about 5 seconds. And salt, it's usually recommended about 6 to 10 grams a day, but as I said in the opening, please check with your medical professional before you do anything with salt, because it's not recommended for people that have high blood pressure or kidney problems or other problems that salt can do harm to. So do check it out first. But I'm going to show you some of the ways I spice up my salt intake, but also I'm just going to have a drink because hydration is really important. Basically, the reason these things are important is because they have been shown to increase blood volume, and this tends to lower heart rates and bring up blood pressure, which are the two things that someone with POTS needs to do in order to get a better equilibrium. Firstly, I'm going to talk about some flavoured salts, because I love salt a lot, but it can get a little bit boring. So having some different flavoured ones, these ones are from IKEA, just really improves my mood. My absolute favourite is this second one here, which is oak smoked salt. There's a wild garlic one and a wild mushroom one as well, and they're like flaky salt, which just tastes amazing. So yeah, if you want to spice up your salt intake a little bit with just pure salt, then grab some of those from IKEA. Then of course I'm going to talk about Vitassium. These have been so helpful for me and just given me an extra boost. One of the great things that I love about these is that the lid pops open, so there's no kind of faffing with twisty lids that are difficult, especially if you've got bendy fingers like me. The tablets look quite big, I'm not gonna lie. I was quite scared of them when I first saw them, but because of their coating, they're really easy to take. I've not found them a problem at all, and I really struggle taking tablets. I also love that the ingredients are really simple and clean. There's literally 4 ingredients. There's no fillers. You know, they're gluten-free, they're everything free. There's nothing in there that's really nasty, like some other ones on the market. I tend to take 2 of these in the morning just to help get me out of bed with my usual meds and just give me that little boost. And then if I need a little boost during the day, I take some of these. These are Salt Stick Fast Chews. They're in the same family, but the Vitassium range is specifically designed for people with POTS and other forms of dysautonomia, whereas Salt Stick is more of an athlete's kind of brand, so it's made for workouts, and I don't know anything about workouts, let's face it. They are post-workout, but they're really helpful. But Vitassium is making their own fast chews very soon, so do keep an eye out for those. But these come in great flavours. There's not as much salt in these. So these bad boys in a 2 capsule serving have 0.5 grams of salt, which, as you can imagine, when you're trying to have 6 to 10 grams a day is really helpful. Whereas these only have 0.1 per 2 tablets, but they've got some magnesium and some calcium in there, as well as potassium and sodium. So they're really good and really handy to just have. They're chewable, they come in fab flavours. This one is watermelon, which used to be my favourite until I tried the orange and the peach. Those 2 are definitely my favourites. I'm not sure I could pick one or the other. And they've also got a lemon lime, yeah, lemon lime, which I have tried. This is a new packet, but they're all very nice. I'll show you quickly what they look like. Let's get a orange one out. They're little reseal bags. They're really handy to just keep in your handbag, and they're chewable, so super easy. I love salt. I love salty snacks. I know not a lot of people do, and that's why something like this is great, because it's tasteless. You don't have to think about it. You can just take it and you've got your salt. But I enjoy salty snacks. These are my favourite crisps ever. They've kind of got more salt than most on the market. I think they're 0.3 grams a bag, which is pretty good. And because they're like crinkle cut, they kind of hold on to the salt a little bit more than straight cut crisps. Something that I found. It might have no scientific basis behind it, but that's just my thoughts. So yeah, these are my favourite ones. I love popcorn, I love gluten-free pretzels, I love black olives. There's loads of ways to get a bit more salt in your diet if you love eating this stuff. Another tip I found really helpful is eating smaller meals more regularly. When I was first diagnosed with POTS, I don't think I realised the impact that food was having on my POTS, because basically when you eat, all your blood goes to your tummy to try and digest it, and because our blood doesn't pump very well, it can pool in our stomachs the way it pools in our feet. We just can't really see it. So that can lead to bloating and discomfort, and you don't want that. It's not very nice. And of course it can also increase your normal POTS symptoms. So eating slightly smaller meals more regularly can be really helpful. The final thing in this food and drink section are gin-gins. Now, I don't know about you, but my POTS can cause me a lot of nausea at times, especially when I'm feeling headachy and dizzy and my blood pressure's really low. So these are just a little suckable ginger sweet. They look like this, and they're just a little ginger pastel, which I found just really settles my stomach. Yeah, I just find them really helpful, and I hope you guys do too. One of the worst symptoms that I can get from my POTS is my headaches. They can be very orthostatic, so anytime I'm upright, I can get a really rough headache. So I have a couple of things in my toolkit to help with those. Obviously, I've already spoken about the Koldtec Halo, and that's absolutely my hero product, but it is quite expensive, and if you're shipping it in, can be even more expensive. So these are two little products that I've tried that I've also found helpful. So this is forehead, like, I don't want to call it a rub. It's sort of like a rub. You basically just take the lid off. It looks like a mini deodorant, and you just kind of rub that across your head. The only problem is it's a little bit mentholy in smell, and sometimes when I've got a headache, I really can't take smells, so it's not the most ideal one for me, but it kind of gives a bit of cooling relief and can be helpful as an extra tool to have or something to try. We know that all these things are so trial and error. Another thing is these Cool and Soothe patches. So they come in little packs of 2, and they're really soft. The only problem I found for me is that I have quite a small forehead, so they don't really stay in place as much as I'd like them to, but they've just got a little plastic sheet on the back which peels off. You stick it to your head and it's just nice and cool. It doesn't have any of the issues as the forehead stuff does with the mentholy kind of smell, and it's nicer than having a wet something on your face if you don't want things dripping in your face. I don't know what it is about me, I just don't like wet and cold. I like cold but not wet and cold, so this is another useful little hack. So this is kind of everything else. First I'm going to start with a couple of just tips. So I'm going to show you on some videos just here what I'm talking about, so it's easier to explain. But basically the first one is just, if you sat down and you can elevate your legs, put them up on a cushion, get comfortable. It just stops the blood pooling in your feet, because that can still happen when you're sat down as well as when you're standing up. The thing that mainly helps me to stop the blood pooling in my feet when I'm standing is compression socks. I struggle quite a bit with compression socks and finding the right ones. I think for POTS it's mostly the 20 to 30, I think it's milligrams. I don't think it's milligrams. Whatever the measurement is, it's 20 to 30 that's recommended. But I found those mess with my joints a bit. So these are 15 to 20, and I found them much more helpful. If you can take the stronger ones, do, but I also just love the absolutely awesome funky designs on these ones. They're from a small business called Not Your Grandma's, which I'll link in the description along with all of the stuff I've mentioned throughout this video. But they're really funky, and if I'm gonna wear a medical device, it has to be funky in my eyes. They have loads and loads of different designs, but I found these much more comfortable for my joints than other ones I've tried. The next tip I have is about movements before you move. So if you take a look at the little video, you can see me doing some calf pumps and also some like fist clenches to help you get that blood flowing before you move off, which just increases your blood pressure that little bit so that you don't feel quite as dizzy as soon as you get up. It's kind of an anti-lightheadedness situation. Another thing which affects POTS that people don't often think about can be hormone levels. So that's where I find my Fitbit really, really useful. I can use it to track my heart rate, but I try not to do this all the time because things like Fitbit take an average of your heart rate as opposed to doing it in the second. So they're not always the most reliable. But for tracking my periods, I find them really, really helpful because often you'll find the hormone surge about 5 days before your period and also a couple of days after can really mess with your POTS symptoms. So at least if you know it's coming, you can kind of counteract that. The thing that is much more reliable for checking your heart rate and your blood pressure is a blood pressure monitor. I used this a lot when I was first diagnosed to kind of just get an idea of my body and what was causing it certain flares. So it was a really helpful tool at the start. I only use it very occasionally now when I'm having a rough time and I really want to see what my blood pressure's doing. So don't use it too much, but it is a really, really helpful tool to have when you want to get a bit more of an insight. I've also really found with my POTS that keeping my legs strong is really, really important and helps them push the blood back up. So when I was first diagnosed, I did a lot of pedals and recumbent cycling. I was lucky enough to get a recumbent exercise bike, which was really, really helpful in kind of just keeping some movement going and keeping my legs strong. But you can also get pedals, which I'll put a picture of here. I do have some, I'm not sure where they've ended up in our move because I don't use them too much anymore. But they are really, really helpful. You can use them sitting on the sofa just to keep your legs going a little bit because it can be really hard to keep active when your POTS symptoms are really, really bad and you're struggling to be upright and on your feet. And obviously most exercise means you have to be on your feet in some respect or another. So they're really, really helpful. The same with recumbent cycling. I also do recumbent cycling every so often at a local park, which I find really, really helpful. They've got assisted bikes, and so they're all kind of different bikes depending on your needs, and I use a recumbent trike, so it's really, really sat back with my feet out in front of me, and I find that I can do that and I really enjoy that when I can. So do check out your local area to see if they have a similar program if that's something you're up for. Finally, it's some quick shower hacks, which I've probably talked about till I'm blue in the face, but this is the first thing that you should get when you are diagnosed with POTS, or before you're diagnosed. If you're having trouble with dizziness and things, then get a shower stool. It was the best 21st birthday present I ever got. This is actually a slightly different model because I ended up with two when I was living between home and uni, but it's just makes so much of a difference. Who'd have thought? A bit of metal and a bit of plastic. But there's basically 3 difficult things with POTS: standing, putting your hands in the air, and heat. And a shower is all of those 3 things. So taking away the standing element reduces one of those things. If you can have cooler water, that reduces another one of those things. So you only really have to put your hands here and you've reduced a lot of the problematic things with having a shower. So shower stalls all the way. I know some people who I've told to get one who will be watching it and still haven't. Do it. It's the best thing ever. It makes life so much easier. I'll stop my rant now. The second thing, which was one of my first purchases, I actually got it 5 years ago today, I think, according to my Twitter. It is a hairdryer stand. So it just has a little base. I put it on my dressing table, but you can kind of put it wherever you want it. And your hairdryer just clips in here, and then there's some Velcro which attaches round the bottom. And I like to sit in a swivel chair. Just have this on, and I sit in my swivel chair and I just go round and round with this on to dry my hair. It basically means that it takes away the holding something heavy above your head, which in the heat can really increase your POTS symptoms. So this is another hero product for me. So helpful. The final thing isn't as helpful as some of the other things, but if you love to do your hair, this makes life so much easier. So it's basically a little automatic curler. I know there are lots of ways that you can sleep in things to get curls, but I haven't explored any of those yet. I will. This is the Babyliss Curl Secret, and basically you just take a piece of hair, you put it in, it sucks it up and curls it. But it also means that you don't have to, like, again, hold things higher than you want. I've got a wand curler, which I love, but it means I have to hold two hands quite high above my head. Whereas this, you can kind of still have your arm down here, use it, it does the job. So it's much easier if you still want a quick heat styling method for your hair. If you think any of the products that I've spoken about in this video might be helpful, they are all linked below in the description, so please do go and check them out in a little more detail, and feel free to ask me any questions you may have. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you have found some tips and tricks that you will use and will be helpful to help you live with POTS that little bit better and make it that little bit easier to manage. Please let me know down in the comments if you have any other POTS hacks that you love, you think other people should try, you think I should try. I always love finding new techniques to manage this condition a little bit better. Spoons and love to you all. Mwah. And I will see you very soon for another video.